Across Iran right now, people are stepping outside to find thick, dark droplets falling from the sky. It coats vehicles and streets, and anyone caught outdoors in a sticky, ink-like substance. A heavy, chemical soot is raining directly onto civilian populations, bypassing the standard environmental cycles of dust and precipitation. The cause stems from recent military strikes targeting Iran's oil depots and refineries. These explosions have ignited the nation's energy infrastructure, sending colossal columns of burning crude straight up into the atmosphere. The true danger of these attacks extends far past the initial blasts on the ground. The burning oil is turning the weather system above into a toxic, inescapable threat. The World Health Organization has already issued urgent warnings about what this means. They are tracking severe, immediate respiratory dangers facing millions of people breathing in this fallout. The United Nations has reported that if this altered weather pattern continues, it will poison an entire generation of Iranians. The term black rain was last used on this scale during World War II, following the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But unlike the radioactive fallout of 1945, the threat falling on the Middle East today is entirely chemical. The scale of the strikes has mechanically altered the local weather system, trapping a massive volume of poison directly over densely populated cities. Look at the skyline. Standard white clouds and normal weather fronts are being swallowed by deep, unnatural storm fronts rolling in from burning oil fields. This modern black rain is a highly concentrated mixture of benzene, toluene, and acetone. When humans inhale or touch these compounds, they bypass the body's standard filtration systems. They embed deep in the lungs and absorb through the skin, carrying highly carcinogenic properties that spawn cellular mutations and cancers over time. This specific chemical mixture elevates the situation from severe industrial pollution to a slow-acting chemical weapon dispersed naturally by the weather. To understand why this is happening so intensely here, we have to look at the physical geography of northern Iran. A massive, impenetrable rock wall, called the Elborz mountain range, looms directly over the capital city of Tehran. This diagram shows a standard meteorological process. Normally, warm air at the surface rises, carrying smoke and pollution up and safely away into the upper atmosphere. But Iran's geography creates a temperature inversion. A thick layer of abnormally warm air moves in, sitting directly on top of the cooler surface air, turning the troposphere into a completely sealed container. The smoke from the bombed oil fields rises, hits that warm air ceiling, and gets pushed horizontally by the wind. But instead of dispersing, it slams directly into the sheer physical wall of the Elborz Mountains. With the mountains blocking the wind and the inversion layer capping the sky, the concentrated toxins have nowhere else to go. They condense and fall right back down onto the population as rain. Iran's unique physical topography takes the collateral damage of a military strike and mechanically locks it in place, creating a permanent atmospheric prison. The immediate health crisis is only the first phase. Once black rain hits the ground, toxic compounds begin seeping straight into the nation's topsoil. This deep soil poisoning triggers a catastrophic failure of Iran's already fragile agricultural sector. Crops cannot grow in earth saturated with benzene and acetone. Because the country is heavily dependent on external food imports to survive, this sudden collapse of domestic farming guarantees severe food shortages and eventual famine. The crisis is generating massive geopolitical ripple effects. Fearing the fallout and the instability of a starving, poisoned neighbor, neighboring states like Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates are rapidly mobilizing their militaries and preparing for the conflict to expand. Military borders will shift, and the active shooting will eventually stop, but the chemical destruction of the soil and water tables leaves a permanent, irreversible scar on the country. Even if a ceasefire were signed tomorrow and the bombings ended, millions of tons of crude soot are already lingering above the Middle East. It forces a dark strategic question about how modern wars are fought. At what point does unintentional collateral damage from a missile strike cross the line into the deliberate manipulation of a region's climate? Destroying energy infrastructure inside a natural, mountainous geographic trap depletes oil reserves, while simultaneously turning the sky into a long-term engine of mass destruction.